The transmission cut through every communication channel simultaneously. Queen Helena stood on the command deck of the ECS Valiant, watching the holographic display flicker to life. The face that appeared made her bridge crew step back instinctively. Warlord Krath'zul of the Varn Dominion filled the screen, his 4 eyes gleaming like polished obsidian, his scaled head crowned with bone ridges that spoke of countless battles. Behind him, the bridge of his dreadnought pulsed with red light. "Humans." His voice rumbled through the translation matrix, each word deliberate and cold. "You have 1 hour to surrender your world. Resist, and we will reduce your cities to ash. Your answer will determine whether your species sees tomorrow." The transmission ended. Silence gripped the bridge. Beyond the viewport, 300 Varn warships hung in formation, each one capable of cracking a continent. Helena's hands remained steady on the command rail, though her heart hammered against her ribs. "Your Majesty, we need to evacuate immediately." Admiral Grant's voice was tight. "We can get you to the Mars colony before—" "No." Helena turned from the viewport. "There are 4 million civilians on the orbital stations. Families. Children. How many can we evacuate in an hour?" Grant's jaw worked. "Maybe 200,000 if we're lucky. Then we don't run." Helena walked to her command chair but didn't sit. "Position the Valiant between their fleet and Earth. All ships maintain defensive formation. Buy every second you can for those evacuation shuttles, Helena." Grant dropped formality, stepping closer. "Our entire fleet combined couldn't scratch their shields. This is suicide." She met his eyes. "Then we die buying time for our people to live. That's what queens do, Marcus. Give the order." The Valiant surged forward, Earth's remaining warships falling into formation behind her. Helena watched the tactical display, counting the minutes ticking away. 30. 7 minutes left. The evacuation shuttles streamed from the stations like a swarm of silver insects, desperate and too few. Another transmission request flashed across her screen. "Krath'zul again." Helena gestured for her communications officer to accept. The Warlord's massive form appeared once more, but this time something different flickered in those alien eyes. Curiosity, perhaps, or amusement. "You position your ships to shield your world," Krath'zul said. "Brave. Futile, but brave. I have conquered 47 civilizations, human queen. Some begged, some scattered to the stars. Some fought with fury and still fell. You are the first to stand directly in our path knowing you cannot win." Helena stepped forward, close enough that her face would fill his screen just as his filled hers. "Then let me be the first to offer you something different, Warlord. Not surrender, not battle. A challenge." The bridge crew froze. Krath'zul tilted his head, bone ridges shifting. "Explain." "Your people value strength and honor above all else. I've studied your culture, your history. The Varn respect individual combat between leaders. If I'm wrong, tell me now." A sound like grinding stone emerged from Krath'zul, and Helena realized with a chill that he was laughing. "You wish to fight me? You, who barely reaches my chest, who has no claws, no natural armor, no warrior's blood. I wish to meet you. Face to face, leader to leader, on my terms, in a place of my choosing. If you truly value honor, you'll accept." The laughter stopped. Krath'zul leaned forward, his massive form dominating the screen. "And if I do, then we talk. Not as conqueror and conquered, but as 2 leaders trying to find a better path. What do you have to lose, Warlord? If I fail to impress you, you still have your fleet. You still have your ultimatum, and what do you gain?" Helena's voice didn't waver. "Time, truth, and maybe, if I'm very lucky, a future where both our peoples survive this day." The silence stretched for 10 heartbeats, 15. Then Krath'zul's teeth showed, sharp as daggers. "Very well, human queen. I will come to your vessel, but I bring 2 guards, and if you attempt treachery—" "No guards for me," Helena interrupted. "I'll meet you alone on the observation bridge of the Valiant. No weapons, just words. Do you have the courage for that, Warlord?" Another grinding laugh. 1 hour. I will come. The transmission cut. Admiral Grant gripped her arm. Helena, this is insane. He'll kill you the moment he sets foot on our deck. Maybe. Helena pulled free gently. Or maybe I'll find the one thing that can save us all. Get those shuttles moving faster, Marcus. I just bought us a little more time. The observation bridge was a circular chamber of reinforced glass and steel normally used for diplomatic functions and ceremonies. Now it stood empty except for Queen Helena, wearing the simple blue uniform of Earth's coalition. Her silver hair pulled back, her spine straight. She'd refused a weapon, refused armor, refused everything except her courage and her mind. The airlock hissed open. Krath'zul entered first, ducking through the doorway built for humans. He stood nearly 9 feet tall, his body a mass of corded muscle beneath dark scales that seemed to absorb light. 2 Varn warriors flanked him, each carrying weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. They spread out, securing the room with professional efficiency. Helena stood alone in the center, hands clasped behind her back. She didn't flinch when Krath'zul approached, his footsteps heavy enough to vibrate the deck plating. So, the warlord rumbled, stopping 3 paces away. Here is the human queen. Small, fragile, alone. Tell me why I shouldn't simply crush your throat and return to my fleet. Because you're curious. Helena met his 4-eyed gaze without blinking. In 200 years of conquest, no one has ever invited you to talk before. They feared you, fought you, fled from you. But I'm not afraid of you, Krath'zul. I'm afraid for both of us. The bone ridges on his skull shifted, a sign of surprise she'd read about in the intelligence reports. You speak my name as if we are equals, aren't we? You command your people, I command mine. Both of us bear the weight of millions of lives. Both of us face this moment wondering if we'll make the right choice. She gestured to the viewport. Look at Earth. 3 billion souls. They're not warriors. They're farmers, artists, teachers, parents. They build instead of destroy. They create instead of conquer. That doesn't make them weak. It makes them human. It makes them prey. Krath'zul moved to the viewport, his guards tracking Helena with their weapons. The galaxy is not kind to the gentle. We learned this truth centuries ago. Did you? Helena stepped closer, still unarmed, still vulnerable. Or did you forget another truth in the process? I know your history, Warlord. The Varn weren't always conquerors. 300 years ago, your people were refugees fleeing the Cathar Empire. You settled on a harsh world, rebuilt from nothing, swore you'd never be victims again. And then we became strong. Krath'zul turned sharply, towering over her. Strong enough that no one could threaten us. Strong enough to take what we needed instead of begging for scraps. Strong enough to become exactly what you fled from. Helena's voice softened. The Cathar destroyed themselves, you know. Their empire collapsed under its own weight. Endless conquest requires endless resources. Endless war creates endless enemies. You're walking their path, Krath'zul. How does it end for the Varn? The warlord's hand shot out, fingers closing around Helena's shoulder. His grip could shatter bone with barely any pressure. His guards tensed, but Helena didn't move, didn't cry out. She simply waited, her eyes locked on his. You know nothing of our burden, Krath'zul growled. We keep our people safe. We ensure our survival. By threatening everyone else's? Helena's voice remained calm despite the pain radiating from her shoulder. There's another way. We have Varn refugees on Earth. Families who escaped your dominion decades ago. They've told us stories about the Varn who question the endless war. About officers who wonder if there's more to existence than the next conquest. About a people who remember poetry and philosophy, not just tactics and territory. Krath'zul's grip loosened slightly. Deserters. Cowards who abandoned their duty. Visionaries who remembered what the Varn could be instead of what they've become. Helena reached up slowly, placing her small hand over his massive one. I'm not asking you to surrender. I'm not asking you to trust us. I'm asking you to prove to me that the Varn are more than killing machines. Show me the honor your people claim to value. The warlord released her, stepping back. His guards shifted, uncertain. How? Helena moved to the command console, pulling up a holographic display. Your people test potential allies with tactical scenarios, puzzles of strategy and combat. I read about the trial of worthy minds in our cultural databases. Krath'zul's eyes narrowed. Where did you learn of this? Your refugees taught us. They want their people to find a better path, even if they can't walk it themselves. Helena's fingers danced across the controls. Present me with your trial. If I fail, you return to your fleet and do what you came to do. If I succeed, you hear my proposal for a different future. Not surrender. Partnership. The warlord studied her for a long moment, then gestured to one of his guards. The Varn warrior approached the console, entering commands with practiced efficiency. A tactical scenario blossomed in holographic light between them. This scenario has defeated every candidate presented with it for the past 50 years, Krath'zul said, including my finest generals. 2 fleets engage in the Kelvin Nebula. The nebula's radiation makes sensors unreliable and weapons unpredictable. The enemy force is equal in strength but positioned in the nebula's heart, where the radiation is strongest. You must either destroy them or force surrender. You have limited time before the radiation damages both fleets beyond recovery. What is your strategy? Helena studied the display, her mind racing. Ships flickered in blue and red, the nebula a swirling purple mass between them. She could see why this scenario defeated others. Every aggressive strategy would result in mutual destruction. Every defensive posture would end in stalemate. The radiation ensured both fleets would slowly die regardless of action. Admiral Grant's voice crackled through her concealed earpiece. Helena, our best tactical computers can't solve this. It's designed to be impossible. She muted the channel and smiled. You're amused? Krath'zul asked, his tone dangerous. I'm enlightened. Helena manipulated the display, but instead of moving the fleets into combat positions, she did something unexpected. She directed both fleets to withdraw to the nebula's edge. I don't fight this battle. Cowardice. The guard who'd presented the scenario hissed the word. Wisdom, Helena countered. The scenario assumes victory requires dominance, but victory can mean survival. Both fleets withdraw. Both survive. Then we communicate across the nebula's edge. We share our sensor data, combine our knowledge of the radiation patterns. Together, we map safe passage through the nebula. What was a battlefield becomes a bridge. What were enemies become allies who both live to see tomorrow. Krath'zul stared at the revised display. His guards exchanged glances, their weapons lowering slightly. The trial is meant to test combat prowess, the warlord said slowly. You reject combat entirely. I reframe the question, Helena replied. Your scenario asked how to defeat an enemy. I asked why they had to be an enemy at all. The Varn have conquered 47 civilizations. How many could have been friends? How much strength have you wasted destroying what you could have built alongside? The observation bridge fell silent, except for the hum of ship systems. Krath'zul circled the holographic display, his massive form moving with surprising grace. Helena waited, heart pounding, knowing everything balanced on this moment. Interesting. Krath'zul's voice was quieter now. You show me a truth I have not considered in many years. Perhaps. The ship lurched violently. Alarms screamed through the Valiant's corridors. The holographic display shattered as the lights flickered red. Helena grabbed the console for support as another impact shook the deck. What's happening? Krath'zul demanded, his guards raising weapons. Admiral Grant's voice burst through every speaker. All hands, battle stations. The Varn fleet is firing on us. Multiple hits too. Impossible. Krath'zul pulled out a communication device, barking orders in his native language. His guards responded with shock. My second-in-command has taken control of the fleet. He broadcasts that I have been corrupted by human weakness. He declares himself new warlord and orders my death along with yours. Helena's mind raced. Through the viewport, Varn warships were repositioning, their weapons charging. The Valiant's shields flared under sustained fire. A coup. Commander Rathalok has always believed our conquest should show no mercy. Krath'zul's voice carried rage and something else. Respect. He saw me come here. To him, this makes me weak, unworthy to lead. Can you stop him? Not from here. And your ship cannot survive sustained bombardment from my fleet. The warlord looked at Helena, and in his alien features she saw a choice being made. You asked if the Varn were more than killing machines. You asked for honor. Very well, human queen. You will have it. He moved with shocking speed, placing himself between Helena and his guards. Contact my flagship. I will speak with Zarathlock. The communication established. Commander Zarathlock appeared on screen, a Varn even larger than Krath'zul, his scales marked with battle scars. You stand with the human? Disgust dripped from his words. You shame our people, old friend. Step aside and accept a warrior's death. I stand with honor, Krath'zul replied. With a vision of strength that does not require endless slaughter. Cease fire and we will cleanse your weakness. Zarathlock smiled, showing all his teeth. Goodbye, Krath'zul. Your legacy dies with... A massive energy beam erupted from Zarathlock's flagship, tearing through the Valiant's shields and striking the observation bridge directly. The reinforced glass exploded inward. Helena felt herself thrown backward, the impact driving the air from her lungs. She hit the deck hard, vision blurring. Through the chaos, she saw Krath'zul stagger as the beam continued. He was the target. The energy would cook him alive in seconds. Without thinking, without hesitation, Helena threw herself forward. She crashed into the warlord's side, her small body barely budging his massive frame. But it was enough. They both tumbled away from the direct beam path. The energy scorched the space where Krath'zul had stood, melting deck plating. A glancing edge of the blast caught Helena's left side. Pain unlike anything she'd known erupted through her body. The smell of burned flesh filled her nostrils. She screamed, the sound raw and primal. The beam cut off. Emergency force field sealed the shattered viewport. Krath'zul rose from the deck, smoke rising from his scales. He looked down at Helena, who lay gasping, her uniform charred, her left arm and side covered in burns. You? The warlord's voice was stunned. You shielded me. You, who would die from a wound I would barely feel. You put yourself between me and death. Helena's teeth were gritted against the agony. Couldn't let him kill you. Not when you were starting to understand. Krath'zul's guards rushed forward, but the warlord waved them back. He knelt beside Helena, his massive hand surprisingly gentle as he examined her wounds. Why? I came here to conquer your world. I threatened your people. I am your enemy. No. Helena's voice was barely a whisper. You're the beginning of something better. Can't build that if you're dead. The ship shook again. More weapons, fire. Grant's voice over the speakers. Your Majesty, we need to evacuate you immediately. Medical teams are denied, Helena gasped. Help the warlord. Contact loyalists in his fleet. Krath'zul stood, something fundamental shifting in his expression. He spoke into his communication device, his voice carrying absolute authority. All vessels loyal to Warlord Krath'zul, this is your commander. Target Zarathlock's flagship. Disable but do not destroy. He will face trial for his treachery. The response was immediate. Half the Varn fleet broke formation, turning on Zarathlock's forces. Space erupted with weapons fire, but this time the Valiant was not the target. Krath'zul's loyalists engaged the rebels with precision, crippling engines and weapons systems. My guards will escort me back to my shuttle, Krath'zul said to Helena. I will retake command and end this mutiny. But first... He removed a crystalline pendant from around his neck, ancient and precious. This is a marker of the Varn Covenant. It signifies debt that cannot be repaid. You saved my life, human queen. That debt is eternal. He placed it beside her, then addressed Grant through the speakers. Admiral, your queen requires immediate medical attention. See to her. When she is recovered, I will return. We have much to discuss about the future. The warlord and his guards departed at a run. Helena lay on the deck, medical teams flooding into the observation bridge. The pain was fading now, shock or medication, or both. Through the viewport, she watched the battle unfold. Krath'zul's shuttle streaked toward his flagship, dodging weapons fire with expert maneuvering. "Stay with us, Your Majesty," a medic urged, pressing something to her burns that made the pain recede further. "Watch," Helena whispered. "Just let me watch." Krath'zul's shuttle docked with his flagship. Moments later, the rebel ships began to surrender, one by one. Zrathlock's vessel tried to flee, but loyal Varn's ships surrounded it. Weapons locked. It took less than an hour for the Warlord to crush the rebellion completely. When the transmission came through again, Helena was on a medical gurney, bandaged and sedated but conscious. Krath'zul appeared on the screen, standing on his command bridge with Zrathlock in restraints beside him. "Human Queen." The Warlord's voice carried weight that made even his crew stand straighter. "You asked me to show you that the Varn are more than killing machines. You challenged me to honor my people's true values. And when tested, you demonstrated greater courage than warriors twice your size." He gestured, and his crew parted. Through the screen, Helena could see other Varn officers gathering, listening. "For 300 years we have conquered, because we believed strength meant dominance. But today, a human showed me that true strength is sacrifice. True honor is protecting those who cannot protect themselves. True wisdom is turning enemies into allies." Krath'zul placed his hand over his chest in a Varn salute. "I hereby declare Earth and humanity under the protection of the Varn Dominion, not as subjects, not as conquered territories, as equals, as honored friends, as the first civilization in 3 centuries to teach us that there is more to power than taking it by force." A murmur ran through both bridges, human and Varn alike. "The war is over before it began," Krath'zul continued, "and in its place, I propose an alliance. Let the Varn and humanity stand together. Let us show the galaxy what strength truly means when combined with wisdom. Let us build instead of destroy." Helena managed to smile through the pain medication. "Accepted, Warlord. And when I'm recovered, we have a great deal of work to do. Starting with those Varn refugees who helped make this moment possible. They deserve to come home if they wish. They will be welcomed with honor," Krath'zul promised, "as will any human who wishes to visit our worlds. The future we build together starts now." The transmission ended. Admiral Grant stood beside Helena's gurney, tears streaming down his weathered face. "You did it. You actually did it." "We did it," Helena corrected, her voice growing distant as the medication pulled her towards sleep. "Every person who believed peace was possible. Every refugee who kept hope alive. Every shuttle pilot who saved civilians while I bought time. This is everyone's victory." As consciousness faded, she heard the bridge crew erupting in cheers. Through the viewport, the Varn fleet was repositioning into a protective formation around Earth. Not conquerors, guardians, friends. Helena's last thought before sleep claimed her was of the future, of human and Varn children learning from each other, of technologies shared and cultures exchanged, of a galaxy that would learn that humanity's greatest strength was not weapons or shields, but the courage to stand unarmed before a monster and see a person instead. The observation bridge fell quiet except for the steady beep of medical monitors. Outside, stars shone on a universe forever changed by a small human queen who faced a warlord alone and emerged with an ally. The war that never was became the peace that would echo through history, proof that sometimes the bravest act is not to fight, but to talk, not to conquer, but to understand, not to destroy an enemy, but to create a friend. And in that moment of transformation, humanity took its first true step among the stars, not as warriors, but as bridge builders, not feared, but respected, not alone, but surrounded by allies who learned from their example that strength without compassion is just another form of weakness, and that the greatest victories come not from battles won, but from wars prevented through wisdom, courage, and an unwavering belief that everyone, even ancient enemies, can choose a better path.